Coach, you're on the clock. 6 days? Let's go. We just finished up practice. We tip off a week from today, Tuesday, November 5th at 6:30, and our team's getting excited. We had 2 close scrimmages that we've done, and have had great growth over those 2 scrimmages, and I know our team's getting really, really excited to go out and lace them up for real. So we got, I think, 5 practices left before this thing gets started officially.
What was the biggest thing you think you learned during those 2 scrimmages?
We're deep compared to last season. Our depth is it's a huge difference from last year. And our guard play is really talented, and we're working on putting our press in. And so that's been fun to see the evolution of that. We got a long ways to go, kind of like Coach was talking about on the defensive end, the rebounding piece. But this group, they've come a long ways from our first scrimmage to our second scrimmage, which is exciting to see. And it's still October. So October, everybody's still got a lot of things they got to work on and get better at. But just excited about this group, their energy, their competitive spirit. And it's been fun trying to figure out how to make sure we maximize their gifts and talents.
You talk about that depth, obviously such a short rotation circumstantially for a lot of the time last year. How deep do you see going to your bench this year? How much flexibility do you have in lineups?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, really hard to play more than 10 kids. But right now, I think you have a rotation of 10 players that can really help, that can really play and compete. And so figuring out that subbing rotation, that's something that we're still working out the kinks and figuring out what groups play well together and blending that group. So that's something that we're still working on. And there's some kids that we need some more separation. And some of that will happen organically once the season starts and you get film of how people play and compete once it's showtime. But right now, the goal is to play 10.
Last year we saw a lot of players get heavy minutes with all the injuries. How do you think that'll help them this season in their role, how that might shift?
Yeah, no question. Last season, that's one of the blessings of that came from last year was the huge role Una, Aaliyah, Agnes, those 3 kids specifically. And the payoff is their maturity this season and where they're at. And those 3 have played great so far. They've been great leaders. You can just tell their confidence, their comfort level from a year ago. This time's night and day.
How's it been integrating all new transfers? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think that's all of college athletics, integrating the portal players. It's gone as seamless as it could, honestly. To have 6 new players, I think we did a heck of a job on the recruiting front of identifying kids that fit the system. And that fit our culture. But it's been seamless just because we're old. I think our average age this year is 22 years old. And so there's a great maturity to this group. When they come in to compete and play and practice, they're locked in. And then off the court, they just enjoy each other. And so I don't know where we're at in college basketball, but we got to be one of the oldest teams in the country. And that's part of the deal. You got to get old and then you got to stay old. But there's a great maturity to this group, and they know we got a chance to have a really special season. And for a lot of them, it's their last year of college basketball. And so they've been locked in and maximizing each day.
How big is it for the program to be facing Don Staley in South Carolina and to do it in Fort Worth?
Man, it's such a cool opportunity to play South Carolina. Coach Staley, what she's built, what she's sustained, their level of excellence it's incredible. It's remarkable. And so to have them come to Fort Worth, for our fans to get to see what that looks like, for us to have the opportunity to compete against that team, that program, and to figure out, at the end of the day, you want to play deep into March. And to get a taste of what that looks like is priceless. And for their program to come and play a neutral site game at Dickey's, about a mile from campus, For us, it was a no-brainer. There's a lot of teams that scheduling's been difficult for South Carolina. There's a lot of people that don't want to play them. But that was a complete no-brainer opportunity for us and for our program, where we're trying to get to, what we want to build. You got to go play against those teams. I know our team's really excited. I know the response in this community and the fan base has been awesome. And so December 8th, we got a lot of work to do before we're ready to play those guys, but couldn't be more excited and thankful that South Carolina was willing to come play that game.
I'd imagine that maturity can be a blessing and a curse, especially when you bring in players for their last year that have a lot of experience doing things one way or have personal goals after. How do you get everybody to kind of buy into playing team basketball this year?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question for everybody is getting with this portal, getting everybody aligned quickly on the court, off the court. Thankfully, a lot of them had previous relationships for years and years. You know, we've known Haley since she was 15. Maddie Shear and Taylor Bigby we've known and coached some of these players at previous schools. So that helps, but at the end of the day, you need a group of kids that have a humble spirit to them, that are willing to come in and learn. Our system's not complicated. I think that helps a lot. Offensively, what we do is nothing fancy. We spread you out. We give a lot of freedom. This year with trying to play really fast and up tempo. And we have so many playmakers. Our last scrimmage, I think we scored 90 something, but really got up tempo. So it's going to be fun. The kids are enjoying it. All these players, they want to play fast. With that comes accountability. You got to defend and rebound so that you're not taking the ball out of the net every possession. And so that's the biggest thing is getting the defensive end side of the ball really dialed in. But getting this group to gel with our 6 returners and it's been as seamless as it can be.
Year 1 to year 2, how does your approach change? You know, I imagine it was survival mode by January, but now there's big expectations and big names on this team. How do you as a coach approach that challenge?
Yeah, it's what you want as a coach is to have expectations, is to have a roster that has big names and talent. At the end of the day, you want to compete at the highest level. You want to have an opportunity to play in a Final Four and try to get there. And so there's so many pieces that go into play. But as coaches, I feel confident you could say we have like 8 starters. We really truly do. We have a group that's like 8 starters, and so we're going to change our starting lineup. It's not going to be the old school traditional same starting lineup every day. We're too talented to do that. There's a group of players that have earned the opportunity to have a chance to start, and that's part of our depth is figuring out how to make sure we maximize that group. Well, that's a great question, but that's every coach's dream is to have a problem where you have a really, really talented roster and you got to figure out how to make sure you use it right.
Did you get an opportunity to scrimmage to see who's going to have the ball in their hands in a late possession? Do you have a lot of starters? Do you have a finisher?
Yeah, I think we have more than one finisher. I mean, Haley's one of the best playmaking scoring guards in college basketball. Madison Connor has proven that she is one of the best shooters in college basketball. And Sedona Prince is such a unique, versatile set. So when you come out of a timeout and we got 10 seconds on the clock, I'll tell you what, that other team doesn't know who the play is going to be drawn up for. And there's just so many weapons out there. And so that's what I think makes this group special is they're buying in, they're sharing the ball, they're playing the game right. At the same time, you got 3 unique offensive weapons. And they're very balanced and they're all their games are different.
Which player surprised or impressed you the most so far though?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, to start, Haley's work ethic, to see it day in and day out, and it started before the Olympics. It's that second to none. her training, her work ethic, it's elevated everybody else. So that's been something that until you get someone and you get to be in the trenches, you don't totally know. Una has made incredible growth from last year to this year in her confidence in herself. The reads that she makes has been incredible. So that's been fun to see that evolution. Donovan's Hunter's humble spirit. She has been picking people up 94 feet. Elite athlete, elite defender, has such a humble spirit to her. But watching her compete on the defensive end, tell you what, in our last scrimmage, she single-handedly set the tone with her ball pressure and what she did on the defensive end. Those are just a couple of the highlights of things that it has been really fun to see. Nat, who we're using as a stretch five from South Dakota, her ability to really shoot it as a center at the 5 position makes our offense really unique. I think she hit 5 threes in our scrimmage, and that just opens the court up for all the guards to go make plays. So there's been quite a few highlights, which makes it really fun. Now that's what I think you're going to see. This season is game by game. There's going to be different people that emerge, and we have a lot of people that have the ability to be explosive on the offensive end.
You got a coach under Randy Bennett for a couple of years at St. Mary's. What was he like as a coach, and what have you taken from him?
Randy Bennett, well, you did your homework. That was a long time ago, but Coach Bennett has had, he's had the biggest impact on my coaching journey. I would say he's been my mentor. Man, that was a long time ago, but we still talk often. A lot of our system is based on what they do at St. Mary's and their pick and roll stuff, the way they spread the court and the 4 out. And then our hustle stats that we use during the preseason to evaluate. I'm a big numbers guy. We stat every practice like a game and give feedback to the players so that they know different areas, what they're doing well, what they're not. But I'm forever indebted to Coach Bennett and what I learned from him during my time there.
Any other question for Coach? All right.